Hi everyone, this is Vlad from Modulus Render, and in today's tutorial we're going to talk about the Blue Room project that I did using SketchUp and TheaRender. First of all, let's take a look at the scene. I wanted to create a very interesting sort of weathered down room, or like a hotel lobby sort of place with big arched windows, and to have a little bit of wear and tear on the materials. And as you can see, it's a very simple, 4 walls, some windows, and I've put a section plane in the back so I can get in and change the field of view, make it really narrow or really wide, and this way I just don't go through the walls to do it. So a little bit of furniture, very dirty walls, and a 3D person over here that I used as a proxy. The model is from Humano. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I don't really use 3D people in my renderings because honestly I don't like them, but I wanted to give it a try and play around a little bit. I have the final renders with and without the 3D people, so the client can decide whichever they prefer. On the outside, I just used some trees from the Thea library and scattered them around on a grass plain, a little plant outside, and very basic, very simple. This is the 3D scene. Now the 3D models, a lot of people have been asking me, where do you get your textures, where do you get your 3D models? A lot of my textures are from Polygon, and the 3D models mostly are from 3D Sky and Dimensiva. So that's where I got these armchairs, the sofa in the back, the lighting fixtures, the vase outside. I actually scanned that with my camera. This is a vase that I own in the house, so I scanned that to have a little bit of my own 3D models in there. The door and the archway I modeled in ArchiCAD, and I brought it into SketchUp because it's really easy to kind of change the dimensions and everything, like a modular way of modeling the windows. Now that we're done with the 3D model and the room, let's talk a little bit about the materials. So as I said, I wanted these kind of weathered down materials and grungy looking materials that I got from Polygon. I mean, the textures were bought from Polygon, and they're, as you can see, extremely damaged, extremely worn. And I wanted to put some dirt on the windows too, as you can see over there. But I don't want it to be this bad, I don't want it to be or to look this worn out or worn down. So this is where blending materials in Thea comes in, and it's a great help and a great tool to use in your projects. So for example, here I've selected the wall material, and as you can see, I have the texture, but I blended it with a color. So basically I have a bit of reflection, some roughness, and a normal map set to 70%. But the diffuse, I used the texture only 30% of the whole material. So I've blended, I added, you can add or multiply the blend, but I added a color that I wanted to have. That is, this kind of grayish blue. And I've set the level of the original texture that is really, really damaged and very, very grungy looking. I've set it to 30%. So I went around the room, and I've done that to all of the materials, like the wooden material. Again, you'll see here, this one is at 20% with 50% normals. The floor also is blended with a color. Well, in this case, I didn't blend it with a color. I blended with the ambient occlusion map. So I have some more visible lines in the wood. The wood texture actually is made with another texture from Polygon. This is not a commercial for them, or it is, but I'm not getting paid. So I'm just telling you what I used. They have a floor generator that is really cool. And I think I have opened it up here. Yeah. So you see, there's a lot of, you can change the finish, you can change the age, you can add scratches, you can add dents, you can have imperfections like spills and mop residue, which is these kind of random lines here. So I really love using these kind of generators, and then I just use them into SketchUp. Add some normals, add some reflection, and that's basically it. For the window, as you can see, I've put some texture, which are like drops and drips of water, stuff like that, that I used in the normal map. So I've gave the glass a little bit of bump, and I wanted to have 2 layers of glass. So one, as you can see here, is a thin glass, which is really, really transparent with some normals. And then I blended in using a mask over here. I blended normal glass. I mean, not normal glass, but just the thin glass material that is very, very thin, and then the glass material that has more reflection or more substance in the final material. And I blended them with sort of a cloud map that looks like that. It's the windy parameter over here. You have all kinds of procedural maps. I just used windy straight out of Thea, and it gave me this cloudy, dirty effect that you'll see in the final render. The velvet or the fabric on the chair, let me select that. So you see I've done 3 layers of the material. The first one is the basic one with the texture map, and then on top of that I've put 70% a color, like a burgundy color that would blend with the texture. So you, like we had before, there's a 30% of the texture showing up in the material. It's not 100%, so you don't see all the lines of the fabric, but you see a blend. So 70% color, 30% would be the rest. And this is how I did this. And on top of this, I layered a procedural Fresnel ramp to have this kind of a sheen on the sides. So I used a little pink color to kind of mimic the sheen on the burgundy. So you can use the same color as I used here, the burgundy, but just go a lot lighter. So for the sheen, I didn't use white. I used the base color of the texture, but I went a lot lighter towards the end of the spectrum over here. And this is how I, layered the material of the chair and the fabric. And over here we have a sofa with a huge imperfection map that these are actually smudges, and you see fingerprints. So I wanted this kind of a crushed velvet effect, but a very fine velvet, let's say, not too rough. So again, we have the texture 100%, the color that I wanted to blend it with 70%, and then 20% a sheen effect with the same Fresnel ramp and Fresnel reflectance. Everything else I think is just some glossiness, maybe some bump, as you can see here for the marble. The painting in the back, maybe more bump, and so on. Let's take a look at the lighting that I use for this scene, and I think I have them over here. Let me just move this out of the way for now. So we have ambient is a background image, doesn't really influence the lighting. So we have the lights. We have this light plane that is made invisible to the camera, to the reflections, and to the shadows. And I usually put these in the windows so I have more samples in an interior, especially if it's a dark interior. I have these as the ambient light, not the direct light or not the main light, but the ambient light that covers the scene. So this is, as you can see, the power is fairly low. And then, of course, we have the sun coming in. The emittance of the sun is color. I always put it to white, and then I wanted really, really soft shadow, so it's the size multiplier is set to 50. And then just a white color for the sky. Another thing that I added here, it says warm lamp. So I've put a texture over here that is the light source, and then I've put a hidden light underneath it that has more power to compensate, because I don't want to make the lighting come out of an emissive material. I just want another mesh here that is again hidden from everything. You see, from camera, from reflections, and so on, just like the light planes. And I added that just to give it more samples to the light. Okay. Another important aspect of this is this, I call it a reflector wall or a bounce wall. I've just made a white wall in the other direction, or better yet, in the opposite direction of the main light sources. So all the light is coming in from this wall, and on the other wall, the opposite wall, I made a white material that has a little bit of light. It says like 20,000 watts, but it's very low in intensity in the whole image. So you'll see that because I've saved a relight Thea image, and we're going to go through all the lights and the effect they have on the final scene. So this is great for static images and renders and some animation if you're looking just this way. Of course, I'm not going to look that way and render something if I have that wall over there like that. But it's a cool technique to use when you want to add some subtle and nice lighting, because the idea of the reflector wall is that in the final render, this wall that has most of the lighting is very, very dark. So you don't see a lot of details in the top area or in between the windows. So the reflector wall brings up some of the details on that wall and on the furniture. Now let me open the Thea image so we can look at all the lights that we have here. So this is the image. Maybe move these out of the way so we can have a better picture. And I'll take out the glare a little bit so we can see. We just turn everything off, and I'll turn them on little by little, one by one. Hello. Let me try opening it again because nothing happened. Okay. So now I think it should be just dark. I think I went too fast and I need to let it close one by one. Okay, so now it's dark. Here, let me just bring this back. So we have the sun, size multiplier 50, and this is just the sun in the image. As you can see, it's pretty dark. Then we added the white color outside, so the sky is just a white dome, intensity 3. The image-based lighting. So we have a brighter light on the outside, but it's still a little too dark. And we added the reflector on the other side of the room that, as you can see, the amount of light is just very, very light, very subtle. You'll probably think it's useless, but as you can see here, you know, we have a little bit of detail and some shadow, so it works for me. Now color B04 is this light here. And as you can see on the vase, on the plant, it gives some really nice warm highlights. And then the sphere underneath it that I call material light hidden, you'll see it's gonna warm up the whole area here that is basically the focus point of the image. So that's pretty cool. But still the image is very dark, and here is where the light plane comes in and brings us all that soft lighting, ambient lighting, and all those samples that we need to get rid of this very visible noise in the image. So let me turn those on. And now you see the effect of each light in the final image, which is pretty cool. So you basically have to balance these lights out to get the look that you are aiming for. You don't have to use all of these tricks. You just take whatever you need for your image to look great and use that. Now, these are some of the images that I did using this technique. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that like button if you found this information useful, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.